All right, so let's get into your college real quick. Your Sweet 16 run at LaSalle, that was the best period for your team overall in terms of their performance. Back then, they were pretty good every year, but you had their best time in the past like 10 years or so. So tell us about your time going from the first floor, making to the Sweet 16, being the first team that's really been able to make a significant run like that.
That whole year was just wild. Like I think we knew at the beginning of the season how good we were, because like we were coming off of I think an NIT year that year, and then like just coming into it that summer, we just had it in our head. Like even in practice, like our summer workouts were crazy. Like even in practice, we were going at each other's necks, and like every practice, it's just like wow, this just doesn't get any easier. Like we're all going, like imagine all our guards just going at each other like nonstop, and even in the summer we're only doing like short practices. Like you can't really do like a full practice. So I think we actually knew there, and then like once the season started, and we were beating people, and it's just like the offense we were running. It's like, oh wow, like people really can't stop us. Like we legit have a chance to be like how that, like we envisioned ourselves being how that Villanova team with Lowry, Randy Foy, and all of them were. Like that's how we envisioned it, and that's really kind of how we based our offense. It was like, okay, we got four guards, we got good bigs. We're just gonna have y'all go at whoever's in front of y'all. We got shooters, like we had everything we need, and it's like our whole G's whole his whole offensive mindset was that okay, they can stop one person from driving, but kick it to the next person, then they have to stop him from driving. It's like we're just going to keep coming at whoever's in front of us until they stop it. Like 85% of the chance we're going to get a bucket, we're going to get something out of it. And like once we all bought into that, and you had everybody's mind like, oh, okay, I'm good. Like I can score too. It was no selfishness on that team. When I say it was one of like my favorite teams to play on, just because of like how selfless everybody was. Like we were all on the same page, and like you just don't find that a lot on like a basketball team. And I like to this day, I say it's like one of the greatest years of basketball of my life, just because like, and we were beating everybody. Like we beat Nova, we beat Butler, we beat VCU at VCU, which nobody did during that time. That was like when VCU was at the top of the top. Like they were always ranked top 25. Their home
Yeah.
record, like
Was
they
it
had
was
like
it the year before or a year after they made the Final Four from the first four?
It was before.
it
It was
might have been
2011, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah.
no, it might have been. I think that was after they made. I think yeah, I think we that was after they made the
Yeah.
final
I forget
four.
which year that was exactly, but
Yeah,
I'll look
but
it up.
but like I said, they never lost at home, and we went into VCU. We had them down 17 at home. Like
mm,
we were killing them, and then, I mean they came back, but you know how VCU plays.
yeah, Shaka
But
Smart was still there. They were still running that
Yep.
havoc
It
defense and all
it
that.
was
So
2010, 2011 when they did
yeah, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
first four to the final four.
yeah.
yeah, and it's funny because that year that was my freshman year in college. We scrimmaged them that year, I
Hmm.
believe.
Okay.
Yeah, so and it's funny because I also went on a visit to VCU, but I don't know, I didn't think that they were like one of those powerhouses, so I was like, I'm not coming here. And
Hmm.
you know how that ended. VCU is one of the best schools or whatever at the time, but yeah, so yeah, that whole year, man, it was crazy. Like I said, we were beating everybody. I think I had like three buzzer beaters. Like even for me, like for me just alone, like it was like a great year for me. So yeah, you don't get that a lot, man.
And I know you mentioned Nova when you talk about your four guard offense. It was very Nova like at the time. That was the way they ran their offense. When they were there, I know when Mason made the Final Four run in 2006. It was always said that they had guards that could penetrate, and that was one of our weaknesses. And there were some people that were like, they were speculating, playing Villanova is always tough for Mason at the time. So that's just the way they played too. I'm sure it was pretty evenly matched. It's just interesting that that year you beat them. That was a little bit before the national championship runs, but they were always a perennial Sweet 16 conference and a conference champion as well. So it's always pretty significant when you do stuff like that. And I know that the LaSalle program has it's gone through some tougher times in the past few years, and I know the A10's always been it's only gotten tougher as more teams have been added to it. Mason has gone through their share of tough times as well with our new coach, who Andy just interviewed. Little plug there for his interview
Yep.
from English recently, which you can find on the YouTube channel.
No, on by George.
On the By George YouTube channel.
It was an
Or
audio.
yeah.
It was an audio only. We didn't do Zoom this particular time, but we just did audio only on our sort of like
Mhm.
parent or whatever you want to call it, the By
Yeah.
George podcast network. So yeah,
Our relative, our uncle,
yeah,
Uncle By George.
yeah.
But long story short, in your time in LaSalle, how do you feel like that prepared you for the process of going pro? What did you do at LaSalle that got you to the point where you're like, okay, going pro overseas, maybe at the time you obviously everybody who wants to go pro has NBA aspirations, but there were other options at the time. Maybe you discovered those while you were there and found out that you were going to have some interest in those who played overseas.
To be honest, like what really got me locked on to like being a pro was during my summers at LaSalle after my freshman year. Coach G introduced me to Jameer Nelson's agent, and I was actually working out with him in the summertime. Like I was going every summer. I go like LaSalle would work out at LaSalle. I was going every day with Jameer Nelson working out with him. So I started getting like that pro mindset, and it was really like a culture shock for me just to see how hard Jameer worked and how dedicated he was to like stuff that wasn't even basketball related, like as far as eating, lifting, like just taking care of his body. And like when I sit down to talk to him, like I pick his brain, like I'm young, I want to pick your brain. I want to know what did you have to do to get here, and just talking to him. Like I think that's what really matured me into like being an actual, like taking my basketball mindset from here to up here. And then like even my dad, like when like a year after, like from like just a year of summer workouts, my dad saw improvement. And he like, damn, like he watched me play. He's like, you look 10 times faster. You look way stronger than you were. And he's like, what the hell are y'all doing over there? And I'm like, listen, I can't even explain it. Like the workouts we were doing were insane. Like mind you, I'm in college, like we lifted, but we didn't do like the I don't even know how to explain it, like the certain, like the type of lifts that we were doing. That's like the place was called Summit where we used to go. And it's like you do like you work out first, then we do basketball. But like the workouts were like all like body part specific. Like so say we do like something like work on agility or something to work on like arm strength. And it was like it was like a breakdown of every body part. Like we were working on something.
Work, basically.
Yeah. And it's just like we weren't just lifting to lift. Like, in college, all right, we're going to do 4 upper body exercises, 4 lower body exercises. But it's like all basic workouts. So it's like, no, we got the Summit. We were doing stuff that I never even seen. Like we'd go in there, it's machines I didn't even know how to work. Like my first week in there was hell. I didn't know what to do. He gave me the paper with like the exercises on it. I'm like, I don't know what anything on this paper is. So like I had to, like my first month there, I had to have like a shadow just to tell me like, all right, this is how you do this. This is what this exercise is. And I didn't really get it down packed. It literally took the whole summer, I'd say, for me to get this paper down packed. Like, and lucky for me, one of my friends, Mustafa Jones, that went to New McGrady with me also, he was already going to Summit. So once I found out he was there, me and him just like we locked back in. Like we were always friends and stuff. And I didn't know he was working out there though. So once I found out that he was there, he was going consistently. It was like, all right, we're best friends. We're reunited again. Like, let's do this. Like we're both trying to get to the top. And like I basically like just was under his wing, and he was showing me all the exercises and stuff. But yeah, to back on that, Jameer was really the one that just took my mindset from a different level. And like to this day, I thank him for that. Like he's like an incredible guy, like a great father figure. He's like if it was ever like a perfect human being for sports, it's like Jameer. Like to me, it's Jameer Nelson. Like to me, he can't do no wrong.
So actually, here's an interesting question for you. So you're talking about like what you would do at LaSalle and versus what Jameer would do. This is fairly early on in your LaSalle career. And as far as your training during LaSalle time and now overseas, would you say that that's something that like, you would still do the workouts, obviously, from a team perspective, but was it something that you were building in purposely, saying like, when it's on my own time, like this is what I'm doing? And I guess kind of like maybe that contrast to working it in like what you do as a team versus individually, because that's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it just helped me practice self-discipline, because it's like when you go to college, it's like, all right, we have time slots to work out. And it's like, okay, every college team does that, but it's like, what do you do extra? Like, what do you do on the side after that time is done? Like, are you putting in any extra work to get that extra edge over your competition? And that was something that, like I said, Jameer taught me. It's like, yeah, you can work out. Everybody works out. We're basketball players. Like we have to work out, but what do you do extra to give you that extra edge over your competition? And then so it's like, all right, when like I want to say probably my sophomore, junior year, all right, yeah, we'll work out with the team. But boom, 7 a.m. I'm up shooting. Or after practice, boom, we're getting extra shots in. Like Like, all right, I'm looking for the guard coach. Like, yo, what time we shooting in the morning? Like, if I get in 6 a.m. before, like, whatever, before class, before we lift. And so then that got locked in, and it was to the point where we had a schedule. It's like, all right, we gotta shoot before lift, like whatever before the day starts, we gotta get a certain amount of shots up. Like we just be on the gun, we shoot for like 45 minutes. Like we gotta make a certain amount of spots. Like me and Jameer used to do this drill, it was a shooting drill called 10-12, where you have to make 10 out of your 12 shots, 3-pointers. And what it was, he's like, to be an NBA player, you have to consistently make shots. Like no matter when your time comes, you have to be able to be called upon and knock down that open shot. So he's like, this drill just is for consistency. Like, when you do drills, like when you do shooting drills, usually you just shoot, all right, hey, we're going to make 10. Anybody can make 10. You could have the worst basketball player in the world. If you have him out there long enough, he's going to make 10 eventually. But this drill was like, it was practicing consistency. Like, all right, I can't miss more than 3 shots. So I got to lock in. I got to make sure my form is correct and everything is like, like I said, consistent. So then that way, when you get to the game, you're shooting that same shot every time. And that's when my 3-point percentage started rising. And I'm like, wow, like this guy actually knows what he's talking about. Like, everything he's telling me is transitioning to my college game. And it was kind of scary to see. And it's just like, damn, like if I never met him, like I'd be thinking like, wow, where would my work ethic be? So it's crazy.
Yeah, and actually, one of the things I kind of want to hit at a little bit as well that you mentioned that in terms of like what he's eating and everything. So what was sort of like the nutrition aspects or whatever that he was doing that you looked at or like, that's kind of interesting.
So I mean, my first year, he wasn't eating like super healthy. Like he'd just take us out to eat. Like we'd eat certain stuff, but it wasn't like the super healthy stuff. But I noticed like when it got closer to the season, he wouldn't eat as much like bad food, or like if me and Staff would come in, like we're eating a pizza before we work out or something like that. He's like, yo, y'all gotta eat like fruit. Like y'all can't eat like some greasy food or some like fatty food before we work out. Like it's bad for your body, or you're lifting and then you go eat French fries or grease. Like that's bad. Like this, it's just not going to tack on the same weight as like a healthy food was, like a regular, like a chicken, like some like regular carbs would do. It was small stuff. It was like small detailed stuff, but it's like it makes a difference. And then like even I think like now when I talk to him, like he says he juices a lot, or like he eats like a lot of like vegetables and stuff. Like, well, I mean, NBA players, they have their own chef, so it's easy for them to diet and do stuff. But just like the certain things that he does to like maintain his body in a good way, it's like it's decent to like see, like to be around that.
So I think that it's pretty fair to say then probably very early on in your college career that you had at least an eye on becoming a professional once you were done with your college career. But when was it that you really thought to yourself, all right, I'm definitely doing this, or started taking, I guess, maybe more tangible steps towards becoming a professional, in terms of lining yourself up to actually go overseas or you explore professional opportunities wherever they might be, actually, really?
I think it was that summer going into my junior year. Like I was already, I think 1 year, that was like maybe my first or second year after having a summer with Jameer. And then, like I said, we had just came off the NIT run that year, my sophomore year or whatever. So then that summer leading into my junior year, the year we made it to the tournament, that's when I was like, all right, I got to lock in like 100%. Like whatever I do is basketball. Like nothing else. Like I'm not going out. I mean, I didn't really go out and party anyway, but I'm like, I don't want to party. I don't want to drink. I don't want to be around anybody if it's not basketball related. Like everything I did was just strictly basketball related. And I'm like, I'm at a small school. I'm already at a disadvantage. Like, so I have to do something to put myself on a map. And my whole thing with going to the South, I wanted to start my own legacy. Like, I didn't want to go to like a high major school that's already, they made the tournament plenty of times. So when they make the tournament, it's not a real surprise. I'm like, I want, like me and G talked, and it was like, I'm recruiting you with the NCAA tournament in mind. And from day one, that was my stepping stone. It was like, okay, I got to get here. If I don't get there, my college career is a failure. Like I didn't do what I came here to do. So that junior year is like, okay, we got the team we wanted. Like Eric Murray was gone. We had a fresh class in. Like, we didn't have anybody basically that besides the people that came in as a freshman with me, we had like all new players for the most part. So it was like a fresh build from my junior year on. And somehow, some way, we made the tournament with that team. And it's like that. It's crazy to me that we did that. I mean, besides Ramon Galloway, he transferred after. He transferred during my sophomore year. But like for the most part, we had a brand new team. And like we ran with that, and G changed up the offense, and next thing you know, boom, we're in the tournament. And like I said, that my whole LaSalle time, it was a lot of stuff going on that people don't know about. And for us to even make the tournament, I think we far exceeded expectations.
Is there anything that you'd care to talk about, like the something that was going on or at the time?
Like even my freshman year alone, like I wanted to transfer. I was actually trying to transfer to Villanova my freshman year, but they have some they call it like the Big Five agreement, where like no Big Five players transfer to any other Big Five schools. But like my first year at LaSalle, it was horrible. It was like we were supposed to be good. We had Eric Murray, we had like I think 4 returning seniors. We had the Williams twins, we had Ruben Galindo. Like we were supposed to be a decent team, and we underachieved. We got blown out by Xavier. And then like one day, like we almost beat Baylor at Baylor. And then it's like the next week you fast forward and we're losing by like 20 to somebody that doesn't even matter. Like we start off, I think we went to Cancun, I want to say. We beat Providence. We almost beat Missouri in like a big tournament out there. And then, like I said, we lost to Baylor, I want to say by like 4 or 5. I can't remember the score. It was a close game all game. But like we had like a great schedule. And then I think after like our non-conference games, like when the A10 games came, we just super underachieved. Like I don't even know what team we were. And I called Lamont Peterson, which was he was like handling my recruiting and everything at the time, like out of high school and stuff. I called him like, yo, I gotta get out of here. Like this is nothing like I envisioned. But I didn't want to be like that college player that just, he didn't give it time, he didn't put up his numbers. He wants to transfer. But I was like, yo, this is like crazy. Like we didn't really have like a strength coach at the time. The strength coach that was there when I got recruited, he had left for St. Joe's. So the strength guy we had was like his backup, but he wasn't really like, he didn't have the knowledge yet. You know what I mean? Like he got better as the years went on. Like by the time my senior year got there, he was like great. But like after my freshman year, it was just like we were coming in lifting. It was BS. We didn't have no like player development guy. The one guy that was a player that was like actually trying to be a player development person, he was like the ops guy. He just did it just because he was there at night. Like, yo, let's get some work in. Like let's work out. But it just wasn't nothing how I envisioned it. And I told the mom, like, yo, I cannot stay here. Like this is not going to get me where I need to be. This is not nothing like G promised me when he recruited me. And so I mean, it was crazy.
Things changed for the better in a big hurry then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like to see how quick it turned around, like just from them seniors graduating and like them kicking Eric Murray, because I think that was one of G's biggest decisions he ever had to make. Because Eric Murray at the time, he was like a top 20, 30 recruit in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And he came to LaSalle. So it's like, oh, G landed a top 20 recruit. Okay, like you got to do something with this. So for you to say like, oh no, this guy has to go. Like, and like it's not like we're at a high major school, we're at LaSalle, we're a mid-major. For you to have the balls to kick somebody out that's like a ESPN top 100 player, it's like something something has to be wrong. And then the kick him out, and then we have success after it too. Like that, you don't see that every day.
It's a justification of the process, and I mean,
exactly.
There's a lot made in sports about trust the process, but I mean that process worked, and it worked a lot faster than maybe you anticipated it, and you ended up accomplishing your goal, which was to make the NCAA tournament, and you made a deep run. So, I imagine your time there, you look back at that pretty fondly now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like you said, everything happens for a reason. It worked out. I'm not complaining, man.
For sure.